Sorry about that. If our viewers saw that clip, it was for another show. It was evidence of a poltergeist on my friend's video when he was videotaping his kid. That's for another show. Yeah. There's an orb that comes into frame out of nowhere. I've just been saving it for a rainy day. I think I showed it once on this podcast, but I forgot it was in there in the back end of the mixer. So if anybody's wondering, if you look to our first couple episodes, you'll see the entire clip. I just was saving it for a rainy day, maybe a Halloween episode. Anyway, so this is June 1st of 2023. Hold on, this is recording live. We are streaming this live onto Twitter and YouTube. I really haven't been keeping up the tabs on the what do you call it, on our Apple Podcasts, and I really have to start getting the ball rolling on coulda, shoulda, woulda for the Spotify stuff. But having a new baby and working 2 jobs or a job and a half is not exactly it's not exactly what I would call conducive to doing a podcast and extra time. But we had a large week in UFO UAP history for the first time in the 65 years in 65 years of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or Never a Straight Answer. Have on they had their conference about their UFO UAP hearing, and a lot of information was relayed, not so much as evidence, not like all the other stuff that we've been seeing that's been pumping out of a lot of these hearings. Oh god, did I really lose my energy drink? Oh well. We are in some really strange times, and there is a, how should I say, a shift in a lot of these agencies in their approach towards this topic. And I don't, as much as the naysayers are saying on the UFO UAP stuff, a lot of the guys, not so much me, but a lot of the other guys that have been around on the social media and been pumping out a lot of stuff have been real kind of negative about these hearings. And I really do understand why. I've been a long time believer since I was like a kid listening to Art Bell. But things are changing, and they're changing fast. It was about a 3-hour presentation with a Q&A and a lot of the staff that are working on this about their approach and how they're going about getting their data and how they're going to do collect. So basically what it looks like, even though we have this new NDAA law and they're supposed to be going back through the cases going back to 1945 or 1947. I can't remember if it was 47 or 45. I think it's 47. Their approach, along with Arrow, appears to be going off of these new reports, these 800 unresolved reports that they're of UAP reports. 100 more of them have been added to Arrow's list because they got the FAA data. There's a big shift in the way that Arrow and NASA is collecting their data. So I've known this for a while, but I'm not sure if our audience knows this. But a lot of the reasons why we can't view the classified versions of these hearings, which may include audio, video, and some other censor datings, data. The actual reason why it's classified, and this was made more apparent during the NASA hearings, is that the craft that they're recording is not classified. And that's the weird part about this deal. The weird part about it is the cameras. These cameras are mounted onto machines that are weapon guidance systems. And they have certain boundaries and abilities that they do. And if any intelligence can be gathered on their weapon systems or their camera systems or abilities, they will classify it automatically. So that negates everything that Arrow is saying. Almost everything that Arrow does and collects other than a belly side cam, which you might see on some larger aircraft. Definitely not fighter planes, but you would see it on probably a Hercules or a C-130 or a U-2. You might have a belly cam, so that would probably be unclassified, something that is not used for a military purpose. But belly cams are used in bombers. So a lot of the reason we aren't seeing anything in Arrow, this audio video stuff, is because it's through the classified sensors and camera systems. NASA, on the other hand, is dealing with unclassified data, unclassified systems for the most part. So they want to start setting up these camera systems along with Arrow and Sean Kirkpatrick and these other guys to setting up detection systems, which will be running 24-hour, 365 for 3 months to get some initial data and to determine whether there are patterns. And a lot of these detections and sensor data collecting places, so some of them are already in place, and a lot of them are already exist in the airports. But there was talk about setting up other things in a passive or active scanning mode or something like that. So they are definitely doing the 100% thorough scientific method, which Sean Kirkpatrick did mention that that NASA would be doing. God, I'm so tongue-tied. There's a lot of information there that's not going to my mouth, and it's just running in my head. So this is a polar shift, okay? It doesn't look like all the naysayers. It doesn't look like the total disclosure is not going to happen. This is the way, for some weird reason, that they're going to this is my theory, that they're going to introduce to us full disclosure for what they already know in the classified black budget private military contractor stuff. This is the stuff that they already know. And it was made more apparent to me today with a news article that they would be testing out SETI or another program, or I think it's the other one that sends the broadcast out, will send a signal to Mars, some random AI generated signal, and see if they can decipher it in order for the preface to decipher an alien signal. If that isn't, I mean, if this comes the 2 days after the NASA hearing, this article comes out. So what I'm saying is, if they're not, they are probably mentally preparing us for full disclosure. And I heard some rumors. And I probably won't repeat them here, but if the rumors are true, they are so crazy they might actually be true, and there might be some intelligence reasons why they are going to release we're going to get full disclosure, and we're not going to get it all, and we're not going to get it in we're going to get it in chunks. We're not going to get it all in one day, and they're probably going to drown this out probably for a couple of years. But if you think about it in a logic terms, there was a lot of studies done about how society would react to aliens. Okay, to the fact that there's aliens. All right. That doesn't change. That data is flawed. Okay, because there was a study going around saying that it wouldn't change societal behavior because people are still focused on their lives. But that study never included the technology that would come with this alternative race intelligence that would be living on this planet. Now, if if all of our needs are met, we have the technology to leave the planet. People are not bound to here. We all of a sudden have anti-gravitic technology, travel faster than light traveling, and we also will have all no famine and no more diseases. Now, given the current state of affairs of the world, releasing this technology was probably not the greatest idea, especially with the threat of nuclear war and the world and two superpowers fighting out in a proxy war. But if this got introduced slowly over time, give it a few years, I think that's what it's leading to. I could be wrong. What do you think, Alamo?
Well, you say you're saying you're going to get full disclosure. It might take a little while, but you actually think you're going to get full disclosure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not
Huh.
100%, but
I don't know. I mean, what I was kind of trying to look at some of these other countries that allegedly went full disclosure, like Ecuador or damn, who else was I thinking of it the other day? Was it Peru? But anyway, they've pretty much allegedly opened up their books. Maybe even Brazil, um, and where that's gone. How their governments react to it.
did
They,
their
they don't
did,
seem. It doesn't really seem to bother their governments as much as it does ours.
because we have all the cookies and the tools and all the foreign goodies,
We
if you
still
know
have
what I
all the
mean.
technology.
We stole all the technology. Yep. That's why it's bigger when it comes, I think, to United States disclosure. There's even reports of this, even with all of the crashes that were happening in foreign countries, they would give it to the private contractors that were bound to the United States government. Time and time again, I've heard the same stories.
Yeah,
Black helicopters, Americans come and they take everything, you know? Same shit for years.
yeah. Whether it's crash debris off a rocket, and there's so much crap up there now. I mean, it could be, but it's that's always been suspicious to me. These groups that come out and show up really fast to get to get the debris. It's amazing.
Well, which leads me to believe either one or well, there's a couple situations happening there. Um, One, everybody's lying. And that would mean millions of people are lying. Or two, there is an active group that is ready to go anywhere in the world that is actively monitoring for this stuff.
Yeah, and
Which
and then if that's the case, then after all these years, where is all that stuff?
see, that's the deal. That's what I keep on hearing in these weird. I don't know if there's a lot of leaks coming out of the DoD or the briefings, which I suspect that there is, but I hear a lot of weird stuff coming out, like there are whistleblowers that are working on these that are reverse engineering this stuff that are coming out, and we're not hearing about it because it's 100% classified, you know.
Yeah,
I
but
suspect I suspect that there are people coming forward, but I think this is a protocol. Honestly, this has got to be a protocol, something that was designed under the Reagan administration. You remember when that
all those vaccines.
bizarre, yeah, the bizarre speech that Reagan did about how we would all unite if we had a foreign adversary,
Yeah,
or
and back in that day, that was pretty much. we were the president was essentially going to be the representative of the planet, if some aliens showed up.
Yep. This has to be a protocol. This has to be.
Yeah, that's part of this protocol you're talking about. It's a UN protocol to, I guess whoever the major nation we know will be, in the future, will be the representative, and I don't know,
Well, I
having
guess.
some bullshit politician as your representative, it's not exactly ideal, but that's what you got.
Well, the reason I believe this is a protocol is because I think the time there must have been a time and a place and a set of events that they might have put in for the protocol, but I believe those when the 2017 videos came out, that was when the protocol started getting enacted, or maybe a little after when Congress started demanding answers. I think that's when the protocol got enacted.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they're called, but I know that the UN for sure, and our government have come up with these protocols, as you say. I don't know what they would be classified under or what they're called, but there are such things.
Well, yeah, the
So
CIA
whether
has the CIA has think tanks that are dedicated to this kind of stuff. Like they, hire people, to basically think their way out of a box. This is their job. So I'm pretty sure this is a protocol. A lot of weird stuff like this. The government invests money in.
yeah, I mean, you've seen some movies that are, kind of along those lines. If something does crash and it's toxic, or some kind of weird biological that's come from the outside, they know how to handle that. Well, basically, if it goes too far, they're just going to nuke you. That really is what they'll do.
Oh yeah. I don't know. This is getting to a boiling point, and I think the intelligence communities have really wisened up to the point that the genie doesn't want in the is not going to get back in the bottle, and the hardcore dedicated ufologists have been waiting almost an entire lifetime for answers, and they're not gonna give up, and it's been made apparent, even at the NASA thing, at the NASA hearing, the DoD and members of the NASA team that are working on the UAP studies have been harassed, and they voiced it, repeatedly harassed, uh, for coming up with nothing, or what people think is nothing. But Sean Kirkpatrick said that this is part of a process in the scientific process. But the ufology community is saying they have 70 years worth of data, idiot. They're just hiding it from you because you don't have Title 50 clearance. So, which might actually be the case, but we got to do it the way the government does it. It's slow as molasses.
Yeah, I don't know that even, when you become an elected official, you get any kind of disclosure yourself. I mean, you can go pretty up high up the ranks, and they still don't tell you much.
Yeah,
In a lot of ways, this government is rogue. There's a lot of things going on, and apparently nobody's really in control of it.
well, yeah,
And
that's what Stephen Greer has been saying for years, which we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But
yeah, the black markets and the CIA, and I mean, just who knows what goes on. When you have that type of government that's funded that way and no oversight, I mean, sky's the limit, man. It's like a criminal's dream.
yeah, well, there is a lot of that going on. So
I mean, they have their government duties too, but that's when you can be moonlighting, doing a lot of other things with all the capabilities they have.
oh yeah, well,
So what
I
is
don't.
going on with these NASA disclosures? I didn't I have time to watch these 3 hour
So
They
basically,
need.
what they were saying is that they're going about this in the scientific method, and the sensors that they are using to collect the UAPs, even though they're catching the UAPs, it's not good data, and they're saying these instruments are not properly calibrated, and they were showing examples of that. And yes, I understand what they mean. I understand what they mean when they do the scientific method. So like an example, I don't know if anybody knows their history, but there's a famous scientist, and I can't remember his fucking name for the light of day. If it wasn't for him, there would have been a lot more dead people in the world. He was the one who told us that lead based products were not good at all for humans, and is why we don't use lead based anything other than bullets and weights. Um, and he had this famous story where he had problems isolating himself to get to see how much of it actually was out there, or what the effects were, or something like that. But they're basically saying that the instruments that are recording this stuff is not properly calibrated for scientific method. I get it. Okay. Maybe there are better equipment. Okay, we'll give it the gung ho. Um, I'm not entirely sure what else they can gather that about these propulsion systems, other than what some people that are working at LIGO and CERN are collaborating on, looking into detecting anti-gravitic systems via gravity wakes, or distortions. Uh, so, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. That was kind of like the gist of it. There was a lot of like, what do you call it? Pie charts and graphs and stuff like that, and Q&A going on, but that's kind of the gist of a 3 hour sit down. No videos, no nothing. A lot of
Yeah,
people said they were bored, but I
well,
have a tech.
which is odd because you've had the, and okay, maybe they're fakes, but a lot of these live feeds, like say from the space station and older shuttle, photography, where they're showing stuff, and so I mean, those clips are out there.
Yeah, so they had an excuse. I think you have to read between the lines. So somebody said in that meeting that we didn't have a protocol. Oh God. There was no censoring of UAP or UAP anomalies. There was no, that's what they said. There was no classifying or censoring of any of it, which is bullshit. But what they also said in the next paragraph, and I do remember this, is that we didn't have an official protocol for reporting UAP. You can read between the lines
Uh,
there.
uh,
Read
well,
between the lines there.
even if there wasn't a protocol, there is a
There was a
method for
protocol.
reporting sightings and close calls and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, even if it's not official or some protocol, the sightings are still logged down somewhere. Most of
Yeah.
that would be the FAA. I mean, anything a pilot would report that's an anomaly, should get one of those reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a place to start looking to. I mean, they would have a lot of data, a lot of radar data. You know, you could throw NASA in there, and of course, the militaries have all their sightings.
Yeah, but
That's another
they
one where you get a
they
lot of
get,
documentation.
yeah, they get away with not showing any of the data because the cameras that are shitty, they can't take high definition videos on a fucking F-35 or whatever the fuck they're flying out now. All we get is grainy infrared videos
Well, that's suspicious because
because
I
because
know
it's classified.
it can't look that shitty.
because it's classified, right?
Yeah, okay, well it's 8K. Well, show me a fucking 4K version,
Yeah,
or you're
exactly.
running 16K. It's like, all right, even a 4K would be way better than the crap you're showing me. It's pathetic. You got to get real.
That's what people expect when they think of like our military shit. But I have a lot of friends in the service, and a lot of stuff we have is garbage. You know, the Bradley assault vehicle is fucking garbage. There's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage tech that we use out there all the time to
Yeah,
cut
if you're not going to
costs.
maintain it or keep it clean,
What is that Bradley
you
assault vehicle?
scratch the lens, but that's not going to do you any good.
What is it? It's not quite Bradley assault vehicle. It's not quite a Humvee and not exactly a tank, and it didn't have reinforced fucking steel. It didn't. The original version, they had to fucking put extra plates of steel around it just to armor it. We,
That's these damn contractors, man. They're just going too cheap, and probably getting people killed too.
oh yeah, there was quite a few documentaries on that. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Soldiers were not happy about that. God, they don't. I don't think they use them anymore.
Well, who else had any other disclosures this week?
Stephen Greer says that I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff coming out. Stephen. Yes, I think he's a grifter. He says he has a new documentary coming out June 6th, which is 6 days before his. I'm not sure if he's doing another CE5 thing. I know he's doing a presentation on June 12th where he says that he has 5 terabytes, not one, not two, not three, not even 544 megabytes. He has 5 terabytes of data, he says, that will tell us about full disclosure and inform us and the general population and everybody and their mother about what's going on. I don't know whether he's telling the truth because he's pulling the same dog and pony show at this. I believe the event is like $699, and that's not including room and board or food. And then you have to pay an extra $1,000 to stay an extra day. Yeah. And I think they're making people sign NDAs or something like that. So, NDAs, charge a lot of money. What does it sound like? It sounds like they're going to the circus, right? It might be. You know?
You're either going to hear the most breathtaking shit ever in your lifetime, or you're going to feel like you got fucked real good. Yeah.
Me, I could afford it, man. I could piss $1,500. I ain't that hurt. I ain't hurting that bad, but I ain't gonna pay it to see Stephen Greer. Not on top of that, get a hotel and an airplane. Oh God, fuck no. Then I couldn't afford it. It would be almost like $3,000 after the plane ticket. Last minute plane tickets aren't cheap.
Where's that being held?
Oh, somewhere. I think so. Well, it's somewhere in the United States, but where I don't know. He's had a reputation of having these events in the middle of fucking nowhere too, like the middle of nowhere. So, it's for me. Greer is more entertainment at this point. Did I take him seriously in the late '90s? Yes, I did. Do I suspect some other troubling things in his life that I might know? Yes. But does that make him a bad witness? Probably not. How should I say this? I'll just say it. I suspect he has some substance abuse problems. I think he does.
Well, I've never heard anything like that, but it may be. I mean, hell, damn.
Because I was watching his last documentary, and He definitely seemed like he was on cocaine to me. That's just me. Talking real fast, serious demeanor. Um, Always very worried, very, always on the move, never standing still. Very wordy. And some of his theories are kind of delusional. Like he says that, a lot of these craft that he sees in these videos are us reverse engineering them. He says more than half of them we can make on our own. And he's like, and he throws in some fantasy with reality, which makes it hard to distinguish whether he's telling the truth. And that was told to me a long time ago, and it's been revealed more and more that what he says is what I've been told is probably true. He mixes reality with fantasy, and that's the allure, you know.
Yeah. Well, I, I mean, as with a lot of UFO stories, you know, the credibility is always an issue. Of what you're gonna let people tell you and get away with essentially very little or no proof. It's you're taking a lot of things on almost blind faith.
Well, we took Bob on blind faith, and a lot of stuff he says came to fruition. But then there's a lot of other things that he said that were uh, a lot of other things that he said that makes you question whether he's telling the truth in the first place. You know, but Bob Lazar has a better track record than Greer. He does.
uh,
Greer said some he said some nutty shit over the years.
Sometimes I think he mixes a little bit too much politics of his politics into like the UFO mythos, if you want to call it that, or the experience, and you got to like stay focused on what you know and leave all the rest of it out of it. If you're going to be truly unbiased, and
Yeah.
don't make the politics here, the exopolitics that you would spread to the rest of the galaxy, or project, what your thoughts or visions of that will look like.
Oh well, we'll find out soon. I had a serious conversation with my friend. We do is talk about UFOs, and then I was saying, I never said that in my life, and I said, we might be within months or possibly a few years of knowing that there is more than one intelligent species on this planet, and we're not talking dolphins.
Also, they're already here.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Well, the ancient art has already told us that. These and the native people in many countries have said the same thing, that the star people come and go frequently, like a vacation to Mexico. The tribes in Africa. There's still tribes even now that talk about the Pleiades or whatever. And then we knew about the natives, about the blue Kachina, or the Hopis and the blue Kachina and the Starman. And then we got the natives in South America saying the same thing, the Mayan art, the Incan art. Then we have the
Oh, the South American one, yeah, the Viracocha.
Viracocha. Then we got Stitchin's interpretation of Mesopotamian tablets, which are probably true. And then, God, it's over the even in Christian. We got the Nuremberg 1500s event where and
Yeah.
yeah, with the painting in the newspapers, and there was a battle. Oh yeah, and it believe it or not, there is um a distinct craft in that painting shaped like a cross, and I have never heard of a UFO shaped like a cross until last week, and I don't remember who said it. And the person who mentioned it said that if this was seen in Nuremberg, this might have been the stuff that Constantine. That might have been the same thing that
Yeah.
Constantine might have seen, and it wasn't a comet, or it wasn't a meteor, it wasn't a comet. It was probably a fucking ship.
That was that
Uh,
vision Constantine had before one of his battles, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we go back to the biblical lore. Then we got what's his name? Methuselah's grandfather, um, Enoch. Enoch. The Enoch and the what do you call it? The all, when he sees that spinning sphere and sends to the heavens.
Yeah, there was like a craft on Mount
Mm-hmm.
Hermit.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So, and there's even petroglyphs, you know, in the Utah Basin and all throughout the Southwest, describing which are, I don't think kachinas are kachinas. I think those are spacesuits.
Yeah, there's another giant one. I think it was in Syria or Turkey. A giant depiction of a giant in a spacesuit.
Probably. There's a lot of every.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been to that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Turkey a lot. There's that area is so filled with history that just the whole country may not because of the it's because of its location, and it's been a crossing ground for many cultures. It's been taken over. I'd say Turkey's been conquered ever since the beginning of time. It's been conquered by some other civilization. It's rich with history, and it is a major crossing grounds between between the east and the west, and the east, the west, and the Middle East. It's been a major crossing ground. So there is a lot of culture and a lot of history going back almost the beginning of time.
But then there's that lost history that they have that gets me. It's just like there's
Oh yeah,
artifacts there that, and then it's like there's like no history of it,
wait, because
no hint of anything.
we more and more evidence. There's been a lot more evidence that there was a civilization shortly after the last ice age, which is about, and we're talking a very advanced society, or shortly before the last ice age, somewhere either before or after, and we get that from ruins that are just so sophisticated, and they're under 200, 400 feet of fucking water, you know.
Uh,
And we're finding, what was it, that ancient zodiac gear compass thing in the Mediterranean that was around during the time of the Greeks. And then we have like landing gear that appears in the middle of nowhere in South America, which is the same shit we used on fucking spacecraft. And we have that fucking hammer that's like supposedly like a hundred million years old or something. A fucking pickaxe was like found like petrified into the surrounding flora and fauna. And that would take about 1 million years to do that. So I'm just like, I think I think that if the way that mankind, yes, I am specific to mankind, uh, I think that we have history wrong, and I think the history of this planet goes back even further than we think. We have just yet to find it, and the reason why we don't have advanced societies, there's been more and more evidence that there's a cyclical event that happens every 200,000 years and wipes out 200,000 years or a couple million years or so on. And there seems to be a extinction event, and this has happened like count like at least 5 6 times on this planet, you know,
Oh no, there
spanning
has been, it's
spanning almost a billion years, you know.
yeah, the mass extinctions. There's been like I think six of them, and
Yeah.
that would be spread out pretty far apart. Like these ice age kingdoms and all you're talking about. That's more recent. It's just I'm really surprised that there seems to be so much evidence for it, and yet nothing in the records, or no, there's no stories that seem to link anywhere to it. You would think
Well,
there'd be something that would have come through that time.
there is and there isn't, and I caught on to this when I was listening to Graham Hancock over many years. He says that there is a lot of this stuff actually out there, and there is background stuff, and there are not people actively looking into this stuff because he says it goes against the standard norm, and that the people running the antiquities and archaeology divisions of their country and societies, wherever they represented, don't want to have to change their history books. So that would cost millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Then we have people, just like with the UFO stuff, they can't accept anything that, you know, that won't rock their world. And then a lot of this evidence actually is out there. It's either in the hands of private collectors, or B, he says a majority of it hasn't been dug up, or C, it is out there. It is in a museum, sitting somewhere in the back in a warehouse, in a vault, waiting to be taken out of a box when everybody remembers what the hell it was. And a lot of that's done on purpose, and a lot of stuff doesn't get checked because it's hidden. They hid it on purpose. I kind of believe that.
Hidden history. Yeah, a certain amount of that is going on.
Like the Mayans, like the Mayans, like I heard a few months ago. There's more evidence than not to say that the Mayans actually didn't carve the pyramids. They actually found them and recarved them with hieroglyphs. They were actually like a they were there. They were there when they were
Legit.
there. Yeah, yeah. They found them.
Well, that's been this. What is it? The Sphinx. That originally it was a lion that's been reshaped into the shape of the Egyptian head.
Yeah.
Because why else would you have, unless there's something else weird going on there? Why would you have a foundation that looks like lion's paws and the body and everything, and then have the head of an Egyptian on it? Just it doesn't add up.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah. And
And the weather.
we don't see any of that. We don't see any evidence of that stuff till we start mixing like the Greeks. We start seeing a mixture of it. Well, no, that's not true. That the Egyptians did have their mixture or fusion of animals, but that stuff didn't.
I mean, yeah, it did.
There's something in the Egyptian culture called the Old Kingdom and the New Kingdom, and there's this period in between where there's like no history and it lasts for like a long time. Have you ever heard about it? It lasts like 800 or 900 years.
I don't
There's
know if
like
it was that long. Now, some of that was Akhenaten. He was like the uh, theologically, counter to what their religious history was. So they kind of tried to blot him out. Not very successfully, but um, where was I going with that?
was he the one? Was he the old last king of the Old Kingdom that started the uproar, or was it? Because I know there was a good 100 years or more between the Old Kingdom and the New Kingdom, and they have no idea what happened in between that time frame.
No, Well, there was that Nubian period, but I think that's that's pretty well documented. I don't think that was lost history. Um,
I think that's what it was called, the Nubian. I think you're right.
when, yeah, they were overthrown. The Egyptians were overthrown by the Nubians for 90 or 100 years.
Something, yeah,
Um,
that I think that's it. Yeah, that would explain why there's no history.
and yeah, the African Kush, yeah.
But the thing is, like even we see evidence of the pyramids that the Egyptians tried to make, and it wasn't even similar. And the pyramid originally had a limestone face, and that fell off in 1303. So they have been the Egyptians have been maintaining this stuff ever since. It leads me to believe that they didn't. Even if you look, I've been to Luxor. I've been to Giza. Um, uh, the the main pyramid, like they say it was for a king burial tomb, but there's nothing about it on the inside that would like look remind me of a tomb. It reminds me of some sort of um I don't know, something where you would do something more industrial. I think it served a different purpose. I don't know. I don't think it was a power generator, but I think it was
Oh,
something
it was,
else.
yeah. There's those. What it was the like a microwave generator because it was aimed. Some of those ports are aimed at certain star systems.
Yes, and believe it or not, our
Tipping
own
device.
military is running into is our military is running into certain issues with some of its devices, especially the electronic directed energy weapons. So we're talking maybe a gigawatt, of energy that we need to power. I don't know how many joules of energy they're shooting out, but those laser systems that they use, the lens that can melt metal and shoot rockets and stuff like that, you need a lot of energy stored or powered, and they were thinking about using the EM, the electromagnetic charge that you get from superheated plasma in order to generate a gigawatt of energy. So to say that the Sphinx might have been a microwave generator is not entire. So if we're talking with plasma and electricity, it's entirely possible.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that, but there was. I think you could throw some material in there. It would essentially start a fire. Put off the gas. You could get a resonance going in that cavity with these like metal pieces and tube work that they would put in some of those channels, and then that would set up this microwave effect, and then it would be broadcast out that uh, it's not really like a laser in any way, but essentially directed out that port towards that star system.
You know what?
You know,
Also,
and
what's
if you
also
knew how to turn this thing on and run it, it would do that for you, and then that would be the signal to the people from that star system.
what's also weird is when I was in Egypt, you don't see a lot of if they were using flame torches to go back all through all some of the stuff that they were doing, you would see like burn marks like on the ceilings from the oil lamps. You don't see any of that. You don't see any of that on the roofs of these tombs. You're not seeing like black
Um,
smoke, some black smoke resin on top of this shit. I didn't think of that till now. These guys had to been used some sort of luminosity technique to get all the way back in there. If they were carving this, if they were putting this stuff, maybe the Baghdad battery was a real thing, and that really wasn't a lotus flower. That was a lotus leaf that they had on that carving, and it was really an ancient light bulb.
yeah, that was the wine why the wine jars were nearby because that was their battery. Though it was essentially a wine vinegar uh, battery cell
I mean,
that
if
they
you get
could have
it,
made with with materials at the time. It wouldn't have been very good, but it might work good enough to get you a little bit of a glow down there so you could see what the hell you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only way is you would like have that all pre drawn out, and then as you built it from the base, you would be building and creating these rooms that you would then seal, as you continued upwards, but that would be all part of the plan though.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't need the torches and the tunnels and all that to carve it out. It would all be done while it was still open air. But do
Jesus.
you really think those Egyptians built all that shit, man?
No, I don't.
Did they build the pyramids? I mean, come on, man.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe all of these ancient monuments. It's not just the Egyptians.
Yeah,
I believe a lot of these monuments in ancient man's history is was not done by man. Or if it was done by man, if it was done by
and
man, it was done by something that man had taken from another civilization.
yeah, to me, that's as big a signal that something's going on as any electronic signal you get from space from some alien or seeing UFOs. It's like, if you can't explain that, that's like a UFO in the same way. It's something, it's right there in front of your face and it's there all the time, but you can't really explain it 100%.
Yeah, they're trying to tell us that they use fucking logs to move this shit over. And I saw a few attempts. God, throughout my 40 years of existence, I've seen a few attempts of them trying to do this, moving slabs on an industrial scale that they were using, and the logs just start breaking underneath it. Like how is that? Even if they used a jetty and were using canoes, okay, you still have engineering problems. Even if you had an army of people, yeah, you could probably get it done in maybe a couple hundred years. If, but this just it's just you would have to have a ramp bigger than the pyramid if you were rolling it up like that, and
Yeah,
it would
it
have to go
needs more material.
miles. You would have to go
Yeah.
miles just to get the right incline. If you were
And
using a pulley system, you still would have problems.
the ramp would have more material than the pyramid itself, too. So, yeah, it's like,
Jesus.
why would you do that? Why spend that much effort on something like that? Or it was
Yeah.
somebody else and it was really no big thing at all. You know, like snap your fingers and there you go.
Somebody. There was a lot of engineering and designing going on, and there's a lot of lost history. A lot more, and
Yeah,
we've
that's
been.
one that's right in front of your face all the time, and the pyramids and these bullshit explanations you get for why they're there. It is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. What else? What else do we have to talk about? What else? What a full hour. uh.
Yeah, close.
Let me see. Signal. David Greer. Yes. Um. What else is coming up? Oh yeah, we do have August 1st. We have an update on the DoD Aero Office. Another report coming August 1st. Um, June 6th, June 12th is right around the corner. Um, I'd like to put a lot. I don't know. I don't think anything will happen of Stephen Greer's. I don't. I don't. I'd like to say yes. I hope to God one of these days he tells something that comes true. But it's probably a grift. It's probably a grift.
Can't
But
imagine spending $6.99. I mean, what do you get for the $6.99 now?
Oh, you get to like see like I think I think you get to see all the evidence, and there's like an extra day of stuff for like an extra $1,000. But I guess you get to see this stuff, this damning evidence that they have.
Yeah,
So
man. I mean, for to me, for that price, you have to produce something.
yeah,
I'd be really pissed off. I spent that kind of money and I didn't get anything out of it, or like you say, it was just a big old grift and
oh
hard. Man,
he's
I mean,
probably he's probably gonna walk out with $100,000.
yeah. I mean, hats off to all these grifters. I mean, that's an art in and of itself, but it doesn't do anything for truth
Yeah,
and the evidence and all the rest of it. It's like, hey, great way to like troll that event and make some money out of it, and.
yeah. I also did watch Stephen recently watched Stephen Greer's newest documentary from January. I fucking should have asked for my money back.
Uh,
That was fucking horrible.
Damn.
Yeah, he's talking about how he is the missing link between these leakers in Congress, and I'm just like, I don't know, nobody takes you seriously anymore.
That's beyond David Icke,
Something like that, yeah.
huh? Oh man.
Okay. I guess I gotta end this show. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, and hopefully some updates. And with that, we'll roll out.